Bryan Kohlberger was allegedly able to stab 4 Idaho college students to death in just a few minutes, well, it's a big question for the prosecution to explain to the rest of us, specifically the jury, but some insight into his past may give us some clues. Turns out Kohlberger knew how to use a knife. Bryan worked as a fish cutter. He was a fillet man when he was in high school, trained to cut and fillet raw fish. I know how to do it. Means you gotta know how to use a knife. We'll see how Kohlberger was.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello, Reporter Room investigators. Come on in, come on in. Today we're going to be talking about the Kohlberger case. Lots of new information. We learned on Thursday that Taylor wants to put forward an alternative suspect. She has an alternative perpetrator theory. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist, and my job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects, and share with you how to do the same thing. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. It's free and it helps me out a lot. And I can't get to 50,000 subscribers without your help. Like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So who is she going to put forward as her alternative perpetrator? Is it going to be the DoorDash delivery driver? Is it going to be one of the boyfriends of the roommates? Is it going to be Enan Harsh, one of the neighbors? Or is she not going to be able to provide any evidence at all? And is she not going to be permitted to put forward any alternative perpetrator in this case? In my opinion, she is not going to be able to put forward any alternative suspect or perpetrator because this judge is requiring her to provide evidence, and I don't think there's any evidence that links anyone else to this crime. Now, the judge broke down the process of it. He just talked about matters, including the jury selection, hours of the trial, seating in the courtroom, who will have reserved, who won't, who gets to testify on camera, who doesn't. He is going to assign a scrambled number to each person that is up for a potential jury spot, who will then receive questionnaires. He stressed that security and confidentiality about the questionnaires, and basically told the defense team and the prosecution team that the jury questionnaires were for their eyes, attorney eyes only, and if anyone else had to see it, they had to do it within the defense or prosecutor's offices. He decided that there will be 8 alternative jurors in addition to the 12 jurors that will be seated. So there will be a total number of 20 jurors selected to sit on this trial. So this is a drastic increase. He was originally planning to have 4 alternatives prior to the Dateline NBC special, but after seeing the special and looking at getting a special prosecutor to investigate whoever leaked the information to Dateline, he has now decided he's going to have 8 alternative jurors in addition to the 12 jurors that will be seated on this case. Moreover, he's asked the defense and prosecution teams not to delete anything off their phones. He's told also the law enforcement not to delete anything off their phones. And this has caused a lot of people to wonder if there is a special prosecutor assigned to this case, will there be a delay in this trial? In my opinion, there will not be a delay in this trial. And the reason for that is that this judge has proven time and time again that he is going to keep this on track. He gave the prosecution and the defense 7 days to turn over all of the information that he was requesting. So I do not think that he is going to delay this trial just because of a Dateline NBC episode, especially since a lot of the information in the Dateline NBC episode was publicly available. I was reporting on a lot of this, not all of it, but a lot of it here over a year ago here on Reporter Room. So for a lot of us, this was not breaking news, but it is great to have the transparency. I have to say on a personal note that I think the gag order that was put in place by Latah County Judge John Judge, who I think very highly of, was way too restrictive. I think it was abhorrent that the victims families were not being allowed to speak out. I could understand if they were witnesses in the trial, but these were people who had their children done away with. These were not potential witnesses. So I think it's really good that there is more freedom for the family members of these victims to be able to come out and say what they think, because too often in trials like this, victims' loved ones are completely lost in our judicial system. Let me know what you think about this, and let's continue on, shall we? Let's talk about the trial. The trial is scheduled to begin July 30th. However, it doesn't sound like we're going to be able to be part of the jury selection process. I believe that's going to happen behind closed doors so as to protect Bryan Kohberger's right to a fair trial. He designated hours for the jury to be from 8:45 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and he will from 3:30 onward he will be taking motions from the defense and the prosecution outside the presence of the jury. Now, he said in the event that the jury is sequestered, he will extend the hours of court days. He's going to run his courtroom Monday through Friday with holidays excluded. It was also interesting to hear this judge talk about the plea deal and the fact that Bryan Kohberger had until the summer to decide. We've all heard the rumors that Bryan Kohberger's mother has told him not to take a plea deal. I don't know if this is true or not true, but it definitely, I think, is a misstep on the family's part. I know it's very hard for them to accept that Bryan Kohberger did this. This is a capital case, and if I were his mother, I would be advising him to take this plea deal. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. If you were a member of Bryan Kohberger's family, would you be recommending that he take a plea deal, or would you be telling him to take the case to trial? The judge described Dylan and Bethany as victims in this case, and as victims, they are entitled to reserve seating along with the victims who perished and their loved ones. Bryan Kohberger is being allowed to have 4 family members come, and they will also be receiving reserved seating. So let's talk a little bit more about the judge's reaction to Ann Taylor wanting to introduce an alternative suspect, or as she calls it, alternative perpetrator. First of all, the judge sealed the alternative suspects. We don't know who they are. We don't know who they could be. But he didn't sound convinced that he was going to admit these theories from the defense team in. He said that he wants the defense to do 2 things. One, he wants them to provide him with actual evidence that these perpetrators are involved. In other words, you can't just purport a conspiracy theory. He said he had told her in advance that she needed to provide an alternative suspect along with evidence that there was some evidence that they were involved or committed this crime. The other thing that he said was that he wanted a statement from her on how Ann Taylor believes that what she is offering him is admissible in the trial. So he said what the defense had presented was, quote, objectionable in terms of admissibility. So, ouch. He is going to have a hearing. I don't think it's going to be open to the public on June 18th at 12:30 p.m. For the alternative perpetrator. I will be looking into it to see if it's public or not. If it is, of course, we will be airing it here on Reporter Room, but I suspect it's not if they are going to be going back and forth about an alternative suspect. So we also learned that Ann Taylor wanted some of her witnesses to be allowed to testify without having their faces shown, and the judge said no. In fact, he wasn't even going to allow the prosecution to have other undercover detectives testify without their faces shown, unless they were undercover on this particular case. He said the reason is that the public has a right to know. Whatever the verdict is, the public needs to understand the evidence that was presented and how the jury got to this verdict, that he didn't want the public to have a question about the verdict at the end. He also asked to know where the witnesses and staff were staying in the event that the jury would have to be sequestered. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. What do you think about Judge Hippler? And are you going to be watching the trial here on Reporter Room when it begins? Because we are going to air the whole trial. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.